In 2021, I think the top performing S&P sector will be financials. They've started to move out to the upside, both in absolute price terms and relative price terms. But I think interest rates could likely go well higher than people think, and even cross back above what had been all-time lows, which we could put, let's say, at 1.4% plus or minus 10 basis points. So I think in a perfect world for yields, which is not a perfect world if you own the bonds, I think yields could surprise people and go well higher than expected by most. So I'm going to say you could get as high as about 1.85% this year during the course of the year. And that would really surprise a heck of a lot of people. So as far as the top performing index geographically between the S&P, EFA, and emerging markets, I actually think it's going to be EFA, Europe, Asia, Far East. For years, the US market has outperformed. Emerging markets are finally starting to get a bid, and a decent bid. In fact, they're close to all-time highs breaking out because of the dollar declining. But I don't think the dollar necessarily has a lot more to go to the downside the way most people do. So my downside targets for the dollar this year were 89.23 to about 87.40. We hit 89.21 last week. So we've already hit my initial downside target, and we're starting to get a minor bounce from there. The biggest consensus macro trade coming into 2021, if you look at the strategists and the economists across the street, is that the dollar would get hit hard this year. Because that is such consensus, I'm thinking that that may very well not happen. And it's similar to what happened in 2017, when newly elected President Trump at the end of 2016 gets nominated, the dollar shot up, and going into 2017, being bullish the dollar was the #1 macro call on the street as far as consensus across strategists and economists. The dollar peaked that year on the first day of trading in January 2017 and got slammed the balance of the year and virtually closed on the low. I don't think the dollar has immense reason to rally this year, but I do think that it's not going to fall the way people think. So I actually don't think emerging markets are going to be the best play. I think EFA will be. So in 2021, when we take a look at the market capitalization, you have the large caps, the mid caps, and the small caps. If you ask me which one you think is going to be the best, I'm going to say it's not large caps. It's small to mid. Not sure which one's going to outperform, but I think either of them are going to do better than the S&P. So that's where I probably focus the bulk of my new investments this year. When it comes to year-end targets, I'm generally not a big fan of trying to guess 12 months out where the market's going to be 12 months forward. There's a lot of stuff that can go on along the way. Just take a look at what happened in 2020 and the huge decline into the March lows, and then, of course, the fantastic rebound since. I think for most people that would have been very difficult to anticipate and kind of try to guess where the market would have been. In fact, if you look at where the consensus estimate was on the street for 2020 going into 2020, it probably was about 500 S&P points lower than where the S&P closed out the year. So guessing year-end targets to me is something I've been asked to do in my career over my 40 years on the street. I generally answer similar to as I did now, but if you want me to pick a number, I'm going to put something that's maybe just a tad higher than where we closed last year, so I don't think it's up much. I'm actually going to put it somewhere very close to where we are right now. And that's not because of anchoring bias. It's just because I don't think we go up as much as people think we will. So I'll say 3,800, virtually where we are right now. My expected year-end target for gold is also going to be very hinged upon what happens to the dollar. If I'm right that the dollar does not get crushed the way most people do, then gold's going to have a hard time really rebounding, and it may not even get a chance to test its all-time highs that were made in 2020. So if I had to guess where gold would end this year, I would going to put it 1775, a little lower than where we are now.
Hey, Grayson Rose here with StockCharts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.